Good morning, guys. It's April 19th, 2021. I'm super excited to join you today. We are working on our Serendipity quilt, which is our 8th annual charity quilt. So if you don't know anything about it, we try to raise money. This year it's for Make-A-Wish, and we have raised $69,559, which is amazing because our goal was $70,000. So if you're going to join us and you haven't started yet, we just love for you to donate $5 for the use of each pattern. And the quilt is behind me, and we're going to be working on row 3. So you're going to see, when you see behind me the quilt, the row 3 has Courthouse step blocks and it has flying geese blocks around it. And we're going to be making 4 of those. So what I like to do in the charity sew along is cut all the fabrics at once. So I have my background fabric here, and I have all of my block fabric here, and I'll kind of show you that in a minute. These are the little boxes that our kits came in, and I kind of just keep all my scraps. So I'm going to pull my Release 3 out. Now you can find this for free on the Fat Quarter Shop website and on our blog, which is the Jolly Jabber. So I'm going to put that back in here. And this one's pretty intense in terms of cutting, so I wanted to go over that first. This center block is a Courthouse step block, and we have created 6-inch Courthouse step paper, Courthouse steps paper. So we're giving you 2 ways to do it. If you don't want to buy the paper, you would follow the traditional method, which is totally fine. And if you want to follow the foundation paper, you would follow the second column. The same thing with the flying geese. If you want to do the traditional, you just do the traditional method. So you could mix and match, like maybe you do this with the paper and this without the paper. But everything is right here, and you just sit and look at your pattern, and one of the things, it tells you FG for flying geese placement 1, CS for Courthouse steps. So you can follow either column and you can mix and match. I mean, you could do this paper but not this paper. Or you can do no paper and just do this. So for today, I'm going to do the foundation paper method because on other videos I have done these in the traditional way. So I'm going to use the Courthouse Steps 6-inch paper, which is ISE-764. I'm going to use the 3x6 flying geese paper. It's ISE-777. Now, if you bought the kit, this was included. But even if it's included and you don't want to use it, you can still do the traditional column. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cover up the traditional method, because if I don't, I will make a cutting mistake. It's just much easier for me to read if I do it this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my papers aside, and I'm going to start working on the background fabric. So I'll put my block fabrics aside and grab them in a second. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and cut A through F, which is my background, for all the blocks, so that I can run home, finish all the blocks, and bring it back this Friday to show you the row assembled. So the first cut says 8 7 by 7 3/4 inch strips. So I'm going to cut 2 7-inch strips. Now when I cut, I kind of guess, just based on experience, and I'll use leftovers for other parts. So right here, I'm going to make sure I have enough to cut off both. So see, I have 2 layers here, but I want to make sure I went through all the layers. I'm going to cut a 7-inch strip. So to do that, if you don't have a wider ruler than this, I'm going to show you a trick. So this is 6.5. We're going to cut 7, so we need a 1/2 inch more. Right? 6.5 plus 1/2. So right there, that's how you can do that. So 6.5, and just put another ruler at the 1/2. So you don't even have to have a wide ruler. Now I'm going to cut sideways. I'm going to cut right here, 7 3/4 is this way. So I'm lining up here and at the top, and I'll just move my ruler down. So that gives me 4 of those. I need 4 more. So I've got 4 of the A's. So I will put this on my design board with the letter A. And you can see that before we started, I did iron my fabric so it's nice and flat. Make sure to always iron so you don't have any kind of wrinkles. Now I need 16 3.5-inch squares. So 3.5 plus 3.5 is actually 7. So I think I'll get 8 from this. Maybe. I think I cut that wrong. I think I cut this wrong. Yeah, I cut this wrong. So that's okay. So I'm just going to check. I've got 3.5 that way, 3.5 that way, and then I need to cut this down to 3.5. So these are my B's, and there's 8 of these, so I need 8 more. But I need to go back here because I think I cut this 7 1/4 instead of 7. I don't know what I did. Let's see what I did. Wait, this is the long way. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter because it's for my flying geese, so it doesn't even matter that it's a little bit bigger because I'm going to use it on foundation paper, so it doesn't even matter. Thank goodness. So see, you can just keep on going. So here's my B. I do need 8 more 3.5-inch squares. So I'm going to use my long ruler. And anytime you see the parentheses here for this paper, whether it's in the background or the prints, it doesn't have to be cut exact because you're using foundation paper. So from here, we're going to cut 8 more. So, boy, I'm really off today. I just cut the wrong thing again. Oh my word, what is going on with me today? Man. Now, if I was at home, I'd probably walk away and go have some candy and come back so I could get my act together or do some breathing exercises or something because I don't usually make this many mistakes. Okay, so now hopefully I have 8 3.5-inch squares, and those do have to be exact. So, whew. Done. For C, we need 3 3-inch 12.5-inch rectangles. So now I'm going to cut 3. So this is just a little bit of waste. And then, let's see, 12.5. So maybe my idea of joining rulers, probably not the best idea for a Monday morning. Maybe we'll just call it because it's Monday. Let's see, and we only need 3 of these, so I have 4. So I'll put one aside that we can cut up into something else. These are my C's. And these right here are alphabetties, and I developed these because I was so tired of writing on sticky notes. So I got that. Now for D, we need 1.5 by 5, 1.5 by 3 1/4, 1.5. So these don't even have to be exact because these are for a paper. So I'm going to cut this little piece into 2 1.5-inch strips and just see what I can get out of this before I go and make another strip. So let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and do the 1.5 inch squares just because that'll be easiest. So these are my F's. So you can cut out of order if you want. And then let's see, we need some 3 1/4. So I bet I can get 2 out of that. Yep, 3 1/4. I can get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna go down to 1 more strip. Let's see. No, I'm gonna do 2 strips. Okay, so now I can put this back in my box because that's all of the background I'm gonna use today. Are there any questions, Lily? I'll just keep cutting and then answer questions.
Mm-hmm. Angie Coulter was asking, why wouldn't you turn your ruler around and use the half measurements? I guess the way you have it aligned, like, because if you do it the opposite way, it goes like 1.5, 2.5 instead of 1 inch, 2 inch. I think that's what she's asking.
Yeah, that's probably how I made my mistake. I really don't know what I did. Unless I rewound the video, I don't know what I did. So you're probably right because I have no idea what I did. And I don't think Lily does either.
Oh, yeah. It's a Monday.
So, let's see.
And we've got lots of sweet comments, cool comments. Angela Stoudinger said, glad to see Kimberly is like us.
Oh, yeah. Especially on a Monday. I'm not even awake yet. Okay, so I am going to save this. This is the leftover of my background. I've got everything on my board. And I am going to save this because it's 1.5 inches. And we might need it. So I'm going to move to the prints. But yeah, I'll keep answering questions. So here's my prints. The one thing that I did do is I've ironed this. When I got my kit, which the kits are now sold out, but if you want to start this with me and you can still join, and you can join in 2030. I mean, this pattern is going to be for free forever. So if you're just now joining us or just now learning about us, these prints right here and the fabric requirements call for half yards. When I got my kit, I immediately cut these into fat quarters because 2 fat quarters equals a half yard, and working with fat quarters is easier. So I have these as 5 fat quarters. These are actually ones that these are all full fat quarters. So I have ironed these. I did line all my salvages up on the bottom. So hopefully I have the right fabrics. And you know what? If you cut the wrong fabrics, it doesn't matter. Just use the fabrics you cut. So from here, I'm going to just cut a 4.5. And these all don't even have to be exact because all of these use paper. So my cutting doesn't have to be exact. So I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch strip and hopefully get all of it from this. But we'll have to see what happens. So I'm going to just use my 4.5 inch square ruler since I obviously can't do math today. And if I use the right ruler, then hopefully it comes out right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to definitely need another cut. I was thinking, let's see, 1, 2. Three, 4. Okay, and I'm gonna dump this. This is too small for me to keep. I don't even think it's 1.5 inches. So these are gonna be my G's. And then, let's see, 7 plus 7, 14. Okay, I'm gonna cut 2 1.5 inch strips, which is 3 inches. And then hopefully that's all we need. So I'm going to fold this up, put it back in my box. So from here, I'm going to cut 7 1/4. And since these are in the parentheses, you can see that I'm working with the paper, so it doesn't have to be exact. So you're going to see that I cut faster because I'm not trying to be exact. So 7 1/4, 5, and I'm just following my pattern, and 3 1/4. Now I would never cut like this if I wasn't using paper. And then this I would actually keep because these are 1 1/2, and I can cut these into 1 1/2 inch squares and put them in my 1 1/2 inch square scrap box.
Bless you.
Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Okay, so J, actually forgot a fabric. I, oh, you know what I did? I just cut this accent fabric up into all this, and it wasn't supposed to be.
Oh.
This accent fabric is supposed to be, it's only supposed to be K. So, oh, we are really good today, huh?
Oh.
We're on a roll. Let's see, H. Okay, so I'm gonna pull these out because you don't need them. Because I'm gonna cut this up into what it needs to be. Boy, you know, that's what you get when you wake up at 6:30. I think I woke up too early. I'm determined to start getting up at 6:30 now, and that's just
oh my gosh,
way too early for me.
That's early.
So, see, everyone makes mistakes. But that's what I mean is once I start making mistakes when I'm quilting, I tend to just keep on a roll. If I'm on, I'm on, and if I'm off, I'm off. So I need 4 1 1/2 inch squares for this K. So I'm gonna cut that from this. And I'm gonna save all this because obviously I might need it in the quilt. So I pretty much just ruined a bunch of fabric.
See, Candace K says, I'm at work and happily listening to Quilty Talk.
Awesome.
Steve Wood says, I have learned such great cutting tips. Thank you. Oh, this is Pat Woods. Hi, Pat.
Awesome.
And Laura Marshall says, I'm not even making this quilt, but love watching and listening in while I work.
Oh, that's funny. I love this quilt. I love it because I don't think I have one that has a navy background. So from here, I'm gonna do Flying Geese first since that's first in the pattern. And here we need, let's see. You're gonna need 8 sheets. It tells you right here, 8 sheets. But since we have 4 blocks, 8 sheets, I only need 2 sheets for today's block. And then the other 6, I'll do at home. So I'm not even gonna pull them out of the thing. I'll do those at home. So I'm gonna put this aside, put it in my box. So for my paper, you put your paper, and this is kind of the technique for any type of foundation paper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crease these lines right here where these are, because it's going to make it easier later because you've already got a fold started, and so you don't have to like fold it so thick because the fabric's in the way, right? Then I'm going to place them right side down. I'm going to need 2 fabric A rectangles from my board, and basically I'm going to show you at the end, Lily's going to help me remember how to put another board on top and tie it with that rubber band thingy. I don't know where it is in the room, but it's somewhere. So now on the wrong side of the fabric, I'm going to put some glue. Oops. And you just want to make sure it covers. You know what, on this one, I think the paper needs to be cut down for you to be able to really see, because the fabric is so dark. If the fabric was lighter, it wouldn't matter, but for this, and now my glue's gonna have dried. Boy, I'm really showing y'all how to quilt today. Y'all are gonna learn a lot. I just don't know what y'all are learning right now.
Troubleshooting.
Yes.
Also, people are wondering what the pink ruler is.
Oh. The pink ruler is the Add a Quarter Plus. They make this in 12-inch, 6-inch. They make it in yellow and pink, and they also sell sets. So I didn't know they sold sets, and we just put that on the website last week. And I use them when I'm doing this paper because it has a lip right here, and I'm going to show you how to use it in a minute.
Bernadette Canis had said, someone go get her a Starbucks. LOL.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I didn't get one today. Actually, that's very true. I did not have a Starbucks today. Okay, so my glue has dried. So. Okay, perfect. So, paper on one side facing up, fabric on the other side, right side up. So wrong sides together, I guess. Now from here, what I prefer to do, oh my gosh, I'm demolishing this glue, is I'm going to go ahead and cut using this ruler. And when I say it has a lip, like if it's right there, you just go like this and it stops. Now you can use a regular ruler if you want, it'll just take longer. But, the only reason I use the pink versus the yellow is I like my sewing room to be cute, and pink is cuter than yellow. So there's no like, now these you could save, and you could cut a 1.5-inch square out of that corner to put in your scrap bucket, or you could save to make half square triangles out of, because those are pretty big. So I'm going to do that, and the best thing about the glue is, see, it's not coming off. If I don't glue, I will not have it in the right spot. And I've never really used glue before I started these papers. And honestly, when I made these papers, I thought, oh, I don't know if I'll use these. Oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to these. I've almost run out of my first pad already.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm using them in the Riley Blake Designs Designer Series. I'm using them in the Lori Holt Red. I used them this weekend. I made like 8 quilt blocks this weekend. I was on a roll. So from here, we're going to work on block 1. So I need to figure out which fabric is used in block 1. So it's right here. It's this blue, because this is the one we're going to work on. So I'm going to pull the blue pieces out of my Geese. What I tend to do with this at home is I do this so that I get them all together. And not the green, because the green is accent. And you know, I knew that. Like, I had gone over the pattern last night, so I knew that. I just forgot.
Wilma Evans is asking, what is the glue called?
Sewline glue pen. There's also a Sue Daily glue pen. It's the same exact product made by the same exact people. It's just packaged different. It's packaged the same, it's just different color. Like Sue wanted hers to look a little bit different. So it's the same product. And it's the only one I use. Oh, on these, I'm actually supposed to cut these on the diagonal. And again, since I'm using paper, piecing doesn't matter. Just cut it. It doesn't have to be exact, is what I'm saying. So from here, well, it doesn't have to be exact, but it does have to be cut through. So there would be that. Okay. So I'm going to do these at the same time. And what I'm going to do is I'll do this one, this one, this one, this one. We'll press. I'm going to go ahead and press using the Lori Holt seam roller so we don't have to pull the iron out, and then we'll do the remaining. So we're going to switch to the side camera, and I have put a 1/4 inch, no, open toe foot on my machine so that I can see my lines. And I don't glue at this point, I just kind of let it sit together, and then I'm going to put my machine on a 1.5 stitch length and stitch directly on that line. On paper, I do start outside the line. here, I start before that line and I go after that line. Now it's hard to see, but I am using color 2600 on this quilt because of the navy. I tested a couple of threads and anything darker was showing through on my lighter fabric, so I settled on 2600 for this quilt. Usually I use color 2000.
Question from Stacy Hernandez. How do I donate as I'm downloading certain patterns?
There should be a link on our website. There's also a link in the video description at the top that links directly to our Make-A-Wish campaign. So from here on the top camera, I'm going to just move, like finger press it, and I'm just going to use the seam roller because I don't want to have to bring the iron up and all that. And this is kind of one of those products that we made, and I thought, oh, I'll use that every now and then. I use it all the time. Mm-hmm. On Saturday, I wanted to use it on my son's head because my sons are in trouble. Two of them, they're in trouble.
Wait, are you supposed to be using the blue fabric for this one?
Oh, I am. Well, we're going to make a different block. We're going to go ahead and make, I'm telling you.
You could make the third one.
Yeah, we'll make the third one. Yeah, I'm not redoing that. I'm a mess today. Sorry. I'm in a great mood, so I don't know what the problem is. Lordy, lordy. Now here I'm just going to, I'm really doing good, guys. I'm going to cut these little nibbits off, or little snippets off. It looks like right here, I didn't get that triangle up enough. So it's going to have a little, extra. So I would unpick that, but my stitch length is way too small to unpick that. So, but yeah, I just cut these off because I don't want these in the seam. They'll just make it bulky when you start putting them together. And I think it's easier to do that because we've already cut this piece. And so we'll add the brown. And this time I'll try to be more careful on the centering of it.
We reached our goal.
Oh, so sorry. We reached our goal. Yay! 70,039. They were trying to tell me. Thank you so much, guys. So excited about that. Yay! Maybe we'll get to 100. Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
The sky's the limit. So exciting. Keep going. The best thing about this paper is it comes out exact if you put it in the right spot, but you can sew really fast. So from here, I'm not even going to iron. I'm just going to use the quick press seam roller, and we're going to cut these down.
A few people are wondering what the difference is between the pink at a quarter and the yellow.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, then you tell them because
Okay.
I don't. She tried to explain it to me and I don't understand.
So the pink one is a little wider, and that's because it has the tapered edge on the opposite side of the lip. And then the yellow one just has kind of like a straight cut to it, and it's a little bit thinner, or like not as wide. It's not thinner. They're about the same thickness.
So the yellows are thick. We'll get a yellow one that's in the 6-inch size in here. But this is, see how It makes it easier on this end to cut your paper. Because this one is the same width on the... See how the pink is thinner? Yeah. But honestly, I just use it because it's pink. I mean, I honestly don't think I don't think it's going to make a big difference either way. Okay, I do have an iron offset, so I'm going to just press real quick instead of bringing that all up. And then we're going to trim these down and...
We heard you using steam. Are you supposed
I know,
to use
I'm
steam?
using steam and you're not supposed to. But I
it's
like to break the rules. Yeah, you're not supposed to use the steam because it shrinks the paper. But I'm looking for a ruler, sorry. Here it is. Okay, so here you don't have to do any math. You just cut on these solid lines. I guess they're all solid lines, so you just cut. No math, no thinking. Just cut on those lines. And then you get your kids to pull the paper off, which I had to do yesterday. And then the kid that I wanted to pull the paper, because he, so see, okay, good, I got it all met. He was in the bath. I was like, oh my gosh, the one time the kid takes a bath, stinky kid takes a bath, needing chores done. But he did come help me because he's in trouble. Oh my gosh, Christopher said, Mommy, you're being so mean. I said, you need it. You need a little discipline in your life. Poor thing. They were so bad. So bad this weekend. Okay, this is where I messed up and I'm going to show you. See how that is, the white is showing? I didn't pull the paper over enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put 2 pins. I do this all the time. And that means that it's short. And I'm just going to eye it. It's about 1/8 of an inch short. So when I piece it, I'm going to factor that in and I'm going to show you how to do that. But usually that doesn't happen. But with filming and the small stitch length, I don't want to try to pull that out on camera. If I was at home, I would have pulled it out. Now you just pull the paper off. And the glue is still there, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. I think it washes away. Except I don't wash my quilt, so mine will just have glue. Are there any other questions?
Yeah. From Wilma Evans, when you iron on the roller, do you worry about stretching the fabric because it's on the bias?
No, I don't. I've starched it. No. I've never even thought of that, but I've never noticed that.
Amy Leach, love all shapes and sizes of the It's Oma foundation papers. What sizes Flying Geese are you expanding to, and when do you anticipate release?
I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head. I know that what we're doing right now is the square and square. So I know those sizes. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but we're going to do square and square first and then Flying Geese. So from here, the way you can tell that it's done with paper, it's a perfectly straight line here and a perfectly straight line here. And if I did a Flying Geese without paper, it would have been all over the place. It would have looked more like this. So I will put these aside on my design board. Just put them kind of on the corner. Now you're going to make 4 of these 4 times for 16 total, but I'm just doing 1 block today. And we're doing block 3 since I'm not paying attention very good. So block 3 is right here, and it's got green. They all have green in the center, so we're going to start with that, and I'm going to follow this diagram right here. So I'm going to pull 1 paper. You're going to need 4 total. And I am going to crease all these lines.
And lots of people are wondering how Emma's birthday was and if that's the reason why the boys are in trouble.
Literally 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave with all these kids in my car to birthday party, which was at a restaurant, one of my kids cut G, the other one. You can Google what that is if you want to know. It's probably not, should not be happening in our house. The other kid kicked him back. He hit his head on the table and blood was everywhere. And when I say blood was everywhere, I mean everywhere. So we have rugs that need to be replaced, and they're in trouble for fighting because we've told them over and over. And I've always told them, if you, and I know this sounds mean, if you hurt yourself and you have to go to the emergency room, I'm not taking you. Your daddy is. Well, we sat there for 30 minutes, so we were late to the birthday party, which was fine. I mean, that's not a big deal. But I didn't know what to do because I don't know anything about medical. Like, when I say I don't know anything about medical, I know nothing. So finally I thought, oh, one of my friend's husband is a surgeon. Let me call her. And he said, oh, I'm in Virginia, or I would just come to your house and fix it. And he said, this is how you fix it. So I left, got in the car. Kevin went to get butterfly something. And so I'm just following this right here. Let's see, F's go first. So we got in the car. I called him, told him what to do, and when we got in the car, Emma's friend said, oh, to do that, you just need to put some butterfly stitches on there. And I said, how do you know? And she said, oh, my mom's a doctor. Then the surgeon called back and told me the same thing. And I was like, well, if I just would have asked the little girl that was upstairs, one of the little girls that was upstairs, I would have had to call. Anyway, it just shows I don't know anything about medical. I don't know anything, and I'm just not. So they're in trouble because they need to stop fighting, and they need to stop wrestling, and they need to stop all this horseplay. So. Now off camera, I am going to give this a press with no steam. Turn the seam off. Okay. So from here, you have to pull these back. And again, when you're stitching between the 1 and the 3 and the 1 and the 2, start and end outside of your line so that when you pull this back like this, your stitches don't come out. And you already have that crease started. Just cover it off. Yeah, so they're, I don't know, I just don't do good with blood, and yeah, so I actually wouldn't let them stand next to each other yesterday because they usually share a computer, and I told them they have to stay completely away from each other until they can act right. Because I don't need to go to the emergency room. So I'm just following my letters. I'm not even reading the instructions. I never read our instructions. I just follow the letters. And so I know that my J comes next, but I'm on the 3rd one, so I need the blue. So.
And comment from Carrie Graziano, it's so awesome to see real sewing and that we all have those days where it seems nothing works the intended way. Please thank Kimberly for keeping it real for us.
Oh my gosh, I wish I was not. I wish I was keeping it accurate.
She also, when she said sew, she put S-E-W and seams spelled like S-E-A-M-S.
Aw,
That's cute.
that's cute. Now, if your fabric shifts too much here, you could put pins in. I kind of just got used to not having to put pins they just go in order of the papers all numbered. Our papers all numbered, so just kind of go in order. This is probably my favorite paper. I've never been able to make a log cabin, courthouse steps, any of that correctly. The ones that I showed you last week that were my modern quilt, that is a hot mess of a quilt. Because I don't have the paper, and the paper's like 20 inches, so I'm like, I'm not about to make 20-inch paper. I think it's because I just go too fast. Let's see, so now we're gonna add our E's. Now here, I guess what you could do is you could put some glue if you wanted. I don't really think you need to though, but I'd probably put too much glue is the thing. But you could put glue here and glue here.
And people are wondering how come you're using the blue instead of the beige.
Because I started so the inside of the block is a different color than the outside. So on block 3, the outside is gray, grayish brown, and the inside is blue. So I'm just following the pattern. I'm just following the wrong block. Which, I mean, it really doesn't matter because when I go home, I just have to make the other 3 blocks. So. And then I'm going to add the eye at the top and the bottom. So if I was at home doing this, what I would do is start each of these. I would do each of these separately. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Then I would do them all at the same time because I've got the right fabric on there. So I would kind of have this as my base, and then I would duplicate as I go to make it go faster. And here, you don't really have to trim this to a 1/4 inch away. I just prefer to so that the bulk of the block is not so crazy. You know, it's not so thick. And because I've already folded those lines back earlier, it makes it easy for me to know where I'm going. So I need eyes. I'm going to go ahead and glue these because that seems to be working.
Question from Dash East 1. What would be the easiest paper to begin with? Oh, paper pattern, sorry, to begin with.
Log cabin. That was the first one we made, and I think that's the easiest one. Oh, it's so cute. I'm glad I did this one. I like the blue. See, we're using the blue. We're just using a different spot. And of course, you can download this pattern for free at fatquartershop.com. We just ask for a donation to Make-A-Wish. All that money goes directly to Make-A-Wish. It doesn't even come to us in any way. So, and they're a great charity to work with. Over the years, we've worked with different charities, and I feel like they're the easiest to work with, and you really see the good that you do. So now we're going to go to D. So I'm going to do this. Maybe I'm going to start doing this glue at home. This makes it easier. I don't have to start and stop. I'm going to start doing the glue.
Marsha Campbell's asking, will there be enough fabric in the kit for paper piecing?
Yes, absolutely. And to starch, because I starch. So when you buy a kit that we cut, I always give enough, because that's what I do. And I buy the kits just like you guys do. Let's see. home, if it was just me and my headphones, I think I could do all 3 of the remaining in an hour or less. Probably 45 minutes, because I would do them all at the same time. And if I'm not on camera, I do go a lot faster than when I'm on camera because I get nervous. Two more strips, and then it's a pretty block, pretty inside of the block. Woohoo. And then we can, and there is an add a quarter 12-inch you could use, but you can just move the.
And does the paper come with the kit?
It does. The kits are now sold out. But we advertise the kits for 9 months, and we always encourage you to buy it early because sometimes they sell out and sometimes they don't. Like last year's is not even sold out yet. So we never can guess, right? It either sells out or doesn't. We either get stuck with a lot or we sell them all. You never really know what people are looking for exactly. Let's see.
And can you remind us what stitch length you're using?
I'm using like a 1.2. I'm supposed to be using a 1.5, but this is tiny. I'm going to show you. Okay, you really should use a longer stitch length than that because that is impossible to pull your stitches out. I mean, that's like, but that's kind of what I do. So it's probably a 1.2, really should be more of a 1.5. And that's kind of something I just do. I guess it's more instinctive. I'd rather have a tight stitch to pull out than have my stitches pull out in my quilt. So, okay, so from here I am going to do an all over press. And then I'm going to cut my block. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. You can cut all 4 sides like that, and it's very clear. It says trim on this line, do not trim on this line. But what I'm going to do to make it easier for myself is just put a 6.5-inch square ruler on it, and it touches, just put it right on the lines of your paper and just cut. And then you really don't have to think because you're just popping that on there. So it comes out perfectly 6.5. And I am going to pull all my paper off before I put this into the block. Some people don't do that, and that's okay. It's up to you what you prefer. And as you trim, as you go, it cuts off all those loose threads. So you can see the back of your piece is really nice with not threads going everywhere. But everyone does do their paper piecing or foundation piecing different. Lori does hers, Lori Holt does hers very different from mine, and she has a video on how she does it. And it really doesn't matter. They both come out the same way, so whatever you're most comfortable with is what you should do. And it's always good to try different methods, no matter whose they are, and see what works best for you, because that's what you should do. is do whatever you think is, like whatever gives you the best results, I guess. So from here, I'm going to put this together like my pattern. And I'm going to show you how I manage that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've just followed my pattern right here. So my brown on the outside and my blue on the inside. Honestly, it doesn't matter if this is this way or this way, because when you turn it, it's going to be the same thing. Now, if you wanted to, you could do your block all blue, all brown, all yellow, all gray. You don't have to do it like we're doing it. You can do it however you want. Now this, what I will do is I will put another design board on here, and I will put it's like a rubber band type thing that I got from Container Store, and take it home, and when I come back Friday, it'll all be done. And it'll keep my pieces in place. So from here, I'm gonna stitch down this intersection with a 1/4 inch seam, come back, and then stitch this. Leave these pins in, and when we get to that, I will show you how to do that. So I'm gonna move away from this foot to this one. And this is a 1/4 inch. I am going to pin. So I guess I could do that on the top camera. Let's see. I could just pin all at once. And it's nice because, see, when you put these pieces together, they're both 6.5 inches, and you don't have to stretch. You know, you don't have to stretch your piece while you're pinning. Okay, so I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch seam. Okay, I'm going to move to like a 1.9, 2.0 stitch length. So I chain piece those together, meaning I didn't cut the threads as I went. Now that we're going to add this third piece, I'm going to cut that apart, put this together, and pin. Okay, so now here, this is the one where we put a note that this is too short. So I'm going to let this go all the way to the end, and it's going to make up for that, instead of trying to make my piece stretch. And then I'll just sew down this line. Now we're going to press according to the pattern. Okay, and then I am going to show you a tip that I forgot to say. Oh, I'm going to turn my steam back on. So I'm going to press toward the fabric B squares. And then to the inside. And again, set my seam. When you set your seam, it's just kind of locking your stitches in from the top. And kind of finger press it before I nice and flat. And it's nice how these points have all hit right here. These 2 points have hit. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you made this block the traditional way, you don't have the paper, for example, you do this method right here, the traditional. What you can do is on these 2 pieces, it's D here and H here, you could cut those wider. Like instead of 1.5 inch wide, do 2 inch wide or 1 3/4 wide. Once your block is together, put your 6.5 inch square, trim it down. So anytime you don't have paper, that's what I would do, because everything tends to get wobbly on me. So that's a good tip if you're doing the traditional method.
A few people are wondering if you could re-explain what you did with the piece that was a little too short.
Yeah. So here, we still have more to do with it. Okay, right here, I put a pin to say it's too short. So instead of making that blue line up with the end, I know it should have been longer, I'm letting it hang off. And I'm gonna leave this pin in, and I'm gonna show you right now what to do. So you put it right sides together and pin. I'm gonna pin all the little intersections and then show you what to do. So pin here. I'm gonna come back to that one. Pin here. Pin here. Okay, so this is where it's shorter. So because I let that go right here, let the blue really go where the blue goes, you just let the center was correct, and you just leave that gap because it's shorter. Just leave it instead of pushing this up. That's going to make your block shorter. So you know that I accidentally did it shorter, so you just kind of leave that seam a little bit off.
Okay.
You think that's good?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
And then I'm going to do the other side. And then we'll just piece this. Oh, so exciting.
Yay.
Yay. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so embarrassed. I made all the mistakes.
Aw.
So I just like to pin in all the intersections, and when I do flying geese, I do try to make sure that that is right, lined up flush, so that it'll hit at 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to sew these 2 seams and trim my block down. So here, I'm going to stay with the seam on the outside, oops, this blue seam, because that's correct. The white seam, don't follow that because that's the one that's too short. And now we can iron. Oh, it's pretty. This blue, so the fabric that we're using for this charity sew along is called Springbrook, and Corey Yoder is actually hosting a free sew along with her fabric, and her first block was released a couple of hours ago. I'm going to show you the blocks on Friday's live stream because I'm going to make them. And this navy fabric is Thatched by Robin Pickens. So from here, what I like to do is get the little threads off and just get it nice and straight. Now, because we use paper, you're not going to have very much that cuts off. Just make sure when you're doing this, your 1/4 inch line on your ruler hits that point, because you don't want to chop your points off. I used to do that when I was new. I used to chop my points off all the time and then wonder why my points, because I was like trimming like a ton off. I was trimming too much off.
And a few people are wondering, since you're basically remaking the whole quilt, what are you going to do with it?
I'm not remaking the whole quilt. The quilt behind me was made by Teresa. So she is a sample maker, so she works in customer service. I'm not sure if we're going to auction hers off or mine off. I know we keep one because we keep it, you know, so that we have a record in 10 years of what we did. So yeah, this is the first time I'm making it, actually. If I had to make this twice, I might pull my hair out. I don't really have time. So now I've got the number 3 block done. When I go home, I'm going to make the other 3, and then I'm going to add the fabric C sashing and sew it together. What you want to make sure is we have this fabric going this way, then this way, and this way. So you rotate kind of the direction of the blues, but of course you don't have to do that. That's just kind of how we designed it. So I would just kind of be careful there. And we're going to check real quick to see how much money we're at on Make-A-Wish. So excited. Oh, and I'm going to show you some other stuff too.
We are at $70,089.
Thank you. I do want to show you block 1 and 2. Sorry, row 1 and 2. It is block 1 and 2 though. So this is like row 1. And we did this on camera, and then this is row 2. Now row 6 is exactly the same, except the fabrics are in different spots. So that week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with all of my flying geese together, and we're going to put them together into units, just so that I'm teaching something different. And what I'm doing with these is just keeping them nice and flat. And my little serendipity bag. We had made it for cross stitch, but it's working really great for the blocks. So here's my little bag.
And we do have those in stock.
And then this one I will just put kind of like that in here. It just keeps it kind of flat. And then, as a bonus, last week, we put this quilt for free on our website. It's called Windfall. It's from the Windfall block, which is this week's block, which is the one I just showed. And I'm going to show you how this looks with totally different fabric. So I'm going to show from the front camera, and then we'll do the top camera.
Oh, so pretty.
Yes. So it's, let's see. Gina from Thread Graffiti quilted it. Angel designed it, and Deborah sewed it, and again Gina quilted it. So I'm going to show you kind of a couple of different options of what you could do here. So you can see here the way we wrote this pattern. Now, of course, we do give you the traditional piecing and the foundation piecing instructions. It's the same result. It just kind of tells you both ways. A couple of things you could do here. Now, if you see my block right here, of course it's different fabric. This fabric right here is Urban Farmhouse Gatherings, I believe, by Lisa Bonjean. So the way we wrote this is the star points and this are all one fabric. Now you could get creative and do 2 different fabrics like we just did. This we just put in a normal star with a normal fabric so that these would really pop out. You could do another courthouse step here. You could also do, instead of the gray inside, you could do a black inside. So there's lots of color options you can do here. And the border's really nice. So that is also a freebie that we are offering as part of our charity giveaway, because we're trying to give you a lot of stuff free to raise more and more money for Make-A-Wish. So let me know if there's any questions before we end today. And one thing is, when I fold quilts, I usually fold them like this, wrong backing out, so that if somebody, like for example, if Angel just threw this in her car, if it gets dirty, the back is dirty, not the front. So that's kind of a habit of mine.
All right, we have a few super chats we've been getting throughout the stream. First one from Valeria Bauer for $9.99, and she put a little dancing pair that says #1 fan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valeria. And then we got another super chat from Christine Ellis for $49.99, and I think it's a pair riding a rocket or a firework.
Thank you.
Very cute. Thank you. And then another super chat from Seven and the Littlest Mew for $19.99 with a pair that says, "Thanks for being you."
Thank you.
All right, and then a couple questions before we wrap up. From Dash East 1, do you have to be careful when sewing blocks together so you don't lose the star points?
As long as you're using an accurate 1/4 inch seam, you should be fine. And I think that that really comes with time. You know, as you're a beginner, I used to do that all the time, chop stuff off, but you just kind of learn as you go.
And from Heidi Hansen, will you do more dinosaur blocks on camera that you showed last week?
Yes, I haven't sewn them. I didn't sew them this weekend. I did a bunch of other stuff. But yes, when I have a full 8 hours, I'm going to cut them all. Actually, my son's going to do it with me. He has to do the alphabetties because he has to get them out of the jar. And then as I cut, he'll put them on the board. But what I like to do with that quilt, because you're making like 5 or 6 at one time, I want to have that full day to cut all of it at once, piece one block and then piece the rest. I don't want to do that where I set it aside. And this weekend I was working on Corey Yoder's new sew along, the red sew along, and the Riley Blake sew along. So I was kind of catching up on that. So guys, thank you so much, and I will see you on Friday.
Bye everyone.